There I was, parked in one of the most expensive zip codes in America, and I hear it just behind me. What car is that? Who makes that car? I really like that. And the answer? Kia. Specifically, the 2023 Kia Sportage. Yet again, Kia has redesigned a familiar nameplate, giving it a decidedly unfamiliar new look. Now, whether you like this or not, you can't deny that the new Sportage is distinctive. Just like the CarGurus YouTube channel, which, if you haven't already, you should subscribe to right now. And if you have a car to sell, well, you can head to cargurus.com and do that 100% online. Just enter a few details to get an instant offer, and we will coordinate getting your car picked up and getting you paid. This new Kia has a look. It's an individual, unique, and to some people maybe a little peculiar. Over the course of my week with this car, I've heard that looks great, I've heard that looks weird, and to me, it looks a little French, maybe like a big Citroen. But let's start with the facts. These boomerang-shaped DRLs are showstoppers, and they'll be spotted from far away. Once you have identified all of this as a Kia, well, you won't have any trouble identifying them out in the wild. We have a top-tier SX Prestige X Pro trim for our test car, which means it comes with these BF Goodrich all-terrain tires. They're mounted on smaller 17-inch wheels to accommodate the larger sidewalls. It looks great, but as we'll get into later, it's not actually the best option if you're not going to take your Sportage off of the pavement. The rear end steals some design language from the EV6, and of course, we're gonna talk about the new logo. Thousands, tens of thousands of Googlers ask about this every month. Literally, the search term KN car gets 30,000 searches a month. And now if Kia was looking to rebrand, it might actually be an effective strategy. After all those people asking that question, well, it's not going to take too many clicks before they end up on Kia's website. But tell us how you feel about this in the comment section below. Is the new logo a winner, or is this font a huge mistake? The new Sportage interior is a step above the competition. It's busy, but it's not budget. I mean, start with the screen. Just look at it. This is really impressive, and it's attainable. Only the lowest level trim of the Sportage gets a screen smaller than this one, and even there, it's still an impressive display. Our car's Syntex synthetic leather is likely durable, but it doesn't have the soft, supple quality we experienced in the 2023 Kia Telluride. Between the front seats, we have a nice open cubby for my wallet and keys, and there are these nifty cup holders. Outward visibility is good thanks to a pretty low belt line and really big windows. Now the dash is dominated by the big screens, but below that, it looks like a tale of two seats. The driver has all controls canted toward them, arranged in a nice flow of materials, but the architects left the passenger seat a little cramped. Between the seats, piano black plastic raises its gaudy head once again. There are some inconveniently placed plastic bits, notably ahead of the armrests on either door, but other than the plastic, I mean, this is a really, really impressive cabin. Likewise, the touchscreen looks great, but it's not without flaws. First, wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto are only wireless if you get a car with the smaller screen. That's pretty standard across the Kia and Hyundai lineups, and it's a fact that continues to confound. Furthermore, all of these icons, as pretty as they are, they just look way too similar to each other, and that makes it hard to find what you're looking for, something that is downright dangerous when you're hunting around and going 70 miles an hour on the highway. Similarly, this row of multi-function buttons was pulled from the EV6, and it looks really cool. Plus, it's a pretty innovative space saver. Hit this to see navigation and audio controls, or this to see climate controls. The problem is this requires you to take your eyes off the road for an extra second, and you will undoubtedly have a situation where you're trying to pull up the map, say, which is on this screen, but instead you turn on the AC, something that I did this morning. I don't need the AC, it's freezing outside. This is functional in theory, but it's a little frustrating in practice. Beyond that though, Kia continues to offer a lot of impressive features. Wireless charging is standard on all but the base trim, as are rear USB-C charging ports, navigation, and HD and Sirius XM satellite radio. Our car came with a Harman Kardon stereo, and it has a full, rich sound. A 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque inline four-cylinder engine does make the Sportage competitive on paper. It's got a little more oomph than a Subaru Forester, but it's not quite on par with the Toyota RAV4 or the new Honda CR-V. The bigger issue is how this Sportage pales in comparison next to other electrified Sportage models. We have a gas engine model, but both the Sportage Hybrid and the Sportage Plug-in make more power than this, not to mention their improved efficiency. I first drove the 23 Sportage out in Palm Springs, where we climbed some 5,000 feet of elevation, and let me tell you, this car can make some serious noise when pushed uphill like that. Now, the gas model, it uses an 8-speed automatic transmission as opposed to the 6-speed automatic that you get in the Sportage Hybrid or the PHEV. And in addition to the lower power output, I think that 8-speed automatic and its shorter gear ratios has something to do with this car's pretty underwhelming acceleration. We should be able to do 0 to 60 in 9.5 seconds, not exactly blistering speed, and that's assuming ideal conditions. If you live up at elevation, I would recommend looking at the Hybrid or the PHEV Sportage. Kia used to sell the Sportage with an up-powered engine option, but that's gone now. In its place, sort of, is the X-Line and X-Pro trim packages. Now, X-Line is pretty much just visual, but X-Pro actually adds in some genuine off-road goodies. The tires are the noticeable details, but it also tunes the Sportage's drive modes for those tires, meaning normal, sport, smart, and especially snow modes are more effective with this setup. The Sportage also gets 8.3 inches of ground clearance on all-wheel drive models, putting it on par with all but the most aggressive crossovers. However, between the tires and the added ride height, this can be a little bit of a chore to drive on tarmac. Expect a little bit of lean, a fair bit of lean. There's more road noise. You're definitely going to get a little more vibration, particularly in the X-Pro models, as opposed to a hybrid or some other compact crossovers. Now, on the safety front, I'm really happy to see that Kia has included a bunch of advanced features as standard equipment. Notably, we have lane keeping assist and lane following assist. Then we also have automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection and a set of reversing sensors. The EX trim adds blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, and while cruise control is standard on the Sportage, adaptive cruise control requires SX trim or above. My favorite Kia safety feature is the blind view monitor, which should absolutely get adopted by other automakers. I don't care how you have to do it, just copy them. It's such a good feature. Basically, when you flick the turn signal, it brings up a view of your blind spot in the gauge cluster. So if you do the turn signal right, you see your right blind spot in the right gauge. You go left, it's in the left gauge. Particularly driving in a city like Boston, it has saved my bacon more times than I would like to admit. Compared with other compact crossovers, the last generation Sportage was a little guy, and that can be pretty nice. It can be nice to have a smaller option. But with the arrival of the Kia Seltos that slots in just above the Kia Soul and the Kia Niro, well, the Sportage had some room to grow, and so it did. It grew some 7 inches in length, and that includes 3.4 inches in the wheelbase. All of that translates to more room for legs and more room for stuff. In the back seat, I love to see features like these hooks on each headrest for your jacket. And then we have these grocery bag hooks built into the seat backs. Now, rear seat legroom measures 41.3 inches, and that's more than the Forester, CR-V, and RAV4. And if you buy an SX trim or above, you get this massive panoramic moonroof, which is especially nice for folks in the back seat. The trunk is pretty big too, swallowing 39.6 cubic feet of cargo, and that number grows to 74.1 cubic feet when you fold down the back seat. So essentially, the Sportage went from being the little option to being the big option. And now this starts at $25,990. But unless you absolutely need wireless Apple CarPlay, I would start my search at the EX trim level, and that costs $27,990. You'll want to add $1,800 if you need all-wheel drive. So that puts the Sportage's pricing right alongside the Subaru Forester. It's actually a little more expensive, but you can save some cash if you can make do with front-wheel drive. Now, our SX Prestige X Pro all-wheel drive test car, this has an as-tested price of $38,555. But still, you will pay more for a comparable Honda or Toyota, and that means the Kia's great value proposition is still in play. But I would argue that this Sportage Hybrid is an even better deal, and so did my colleague Mark Takahashi, so be sure to watch his video of that car as well. You see, our all-wheel drive Sportage here, it should do 23 mpg in the city, 28 on the highway, and 25 in combined driving. And we did see a little better than that at 26 mpg combined. But an all-wheel drive hybrid Sportage, well, that should do 38s across the board. And with MSRPs only $1,300 apart, you'll recoup that difference via fuel savings in just a year and a half or so. And then after that, it's all gravy. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments section below, would you pay more money to get a hybrid today if it meant saving a little bit of money down the road? And is the Kia Sportage now the compact crossover to buy, or would you rather have a Subaru or a Toyota, a Honda, maybe something else entirely? You can read my full written review of this car at CarGurus.com. There's a link over there. And as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel, so we'll see you next time.